Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Let me find my notes. Oh, excuse me. Let me type into the comments. I want to say hello. Hello, and welcome to my channel. So, for those of you who are just tuning in, my name is Burjo Elise, and I am the owner of the Elise Notary Services as well as the Notary Education Group. I look so sleepy. Like my eyes look like so sleepy. Oh my goodness. And I am. I'm actually sleepy because I was up early. No, I wasn't. I didn't get up early today. Well, no, I didn't get up early today. I got up like 10, 11. And I am sleepy. And I just ate dinner, which probably doesn't make it any better. But anywho, let me give everyone a little time to get on here. Hi, Stephanie. I'm so mad because I missed your live yesterday. Girl, the kids, we have the St. Lucie Fair going on, and I took my son, me and my husband took my son, and then my daughter went to my mom's event, and so it's like, I don't, we didn't get home until like 10 something. And then I saw in the messages that you were doing the, what was it, the 30-day money challenge? And I so wanted to participate in the live to tell you guys how I did. So I am not happy that I missed that, but is it a replay on it, Stephanie? If you guys are not familiar, Stephanie has this awesome money saving book. It's like a budget book. Like, Stephanie, please save it. Oh, it was the February no spend challenge. Okay, I want to see the replay. You guys got to check this out. If you guys are interested in saving some money, okay, and trying to change your lifestyle and being better about your money spending, Stephanie, she got the tools for you guys. And I'm so proud of you, Stephanie, for doing that because I too am very interested in that. Okay, because this year I told myself I was going to save, 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 and I need to reduce my debt big time because I'm trying to make some moves next year for myself and my family, and I need to pay down my debt. You're welcome, Stephanie. Hi, Joy. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. So, as promised, we're going to do the General Notary Workshop, is what I'm calling it, and it's not so much as that. I mean, we're going to be talking about general notary and best practices. You know what I mean? Hi, Michael. How are you doing? You feeling better? I know last time you said you were feeling a little under weather, but you came in and did say hi to us, so we appreciate you. But I hope that you are feeling much better this week, for sure. Good. I'm glad to hear that. All right, guys. So what I did was I created some sample documents, all right, for us to look at and talk about. And then I wanted to first, before I do any of that, I wanted to talk about understanding your role as a notary, period. Okay, because it seems like, um, and I don't know why, but just a lot of notaries, they just kind of skip all of that reading. They don't want to do any reading, and so you just really miss the important stuff when you don't read, your guidelines for being a notary in your state. If your state has them, you're welcome, Michael. If your state has them, it is so important for you to go over those. And I know it could be lengthy, like I told you guys. The NNA, National Notary Association, they have the primer that you can buy. In the primer, it just basically condenses that information down into a book that you can have with you. Read it. And then if you want to fact check stuff, go to your statute. I know here in Florida we have our state statute. I have that page bookmarked. It's chapter 117. Every notary public in Florida should know that our statute is chapter 117. Am I right? Am I right? We should all know it, and we all need to be able to go to it and fact check and compare what we can do, what we cannot do, because it's super important. Now, our statute, every statute can be very vague. I will say that. It's very vague on what you can and cannot do, right? But we have been lucky to have our statute have the prohibited acts for notaries, so things we cannot do. Unfortunately, it doesn't do a really good job about telling us what we can do. Like, for example, I have been emailing the state since, I want to say last month, not last month, I think it was January, since January, because I just wanted them to a- answer the question of, can I use an interpreter and a translator when I'm doing notary? Because when I do notary for people who are worldwide, sometimes they can't speak very good English. And so in our statute, it says that we should not be notarizing for anyone who doesn't understand English. And But if we do, we need to make sure that the documents are translated into a language that they can understand. So it's like, can we not? You do want to have direct communication. And so because the answer they did, and so what it was they did respond back and they said they cannot give any legal advice and that we have to reference the statute. And I'm like, are you serious? And so I myself just came up with an affidavit, okay, for in person, where a person would be able to translate. I would draw the line with it being a family member, though. I don't want to use a family member to translate or interpret. I would rather use someone who does not have any beneficial interest in the transaction still. And so um, I came up with some questions for online notary where they would have to agree that under penalty of perjury that they will be interpreting the information the way that is there, that is written in the way that is spoken, or they will be, you know, under penalty of perjury, right? And I have an affidavit that I'm going to be generating for them to be able to sign in person. So I got my wrong questions, and then I'm gonna have that affidavit. And this is just to cover myself, because, and I have that state statute, the number for it, or I'm going to have it on that document so that if it's asked, well, what made you think that you could do that? Well, in the prohibited acts, it doesn't say that I cannot. So, legally it doesn't say it. So it's basically going off of your own judgment, which is another thing I just absolutely hate. They tell you follow the statute, but if the statute is not very clear, then it's up to our own judgment. And I don't like it, but they don't really give you a whole lot of, direct guidance because they want to cover their butt too, right? They don't want to say, yes, you can, and then, well, we can say so and so told us we could, so it's like whatever. I can't say that it is in the statute that I can do it, but it's not in the statute that I cannot do it. It says that as long as the information is translated into a language that the person understands, I can move forward. That is what the statute says. So, up to my own interpretation and judgment. Am I right or wrong? That's all I'm saying. So, as far as our role as a notary goes, it is important that you are making sure that you are an unbiased witness. All right, Joy, that is a good idea. It's similar to the affidavit document translator was exactly, and that's what I thought of. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to decide that I'm going to do this, because I've had to turn down a lot of work because of that, I would prefer to send them to a notary who speaks the language, and that's that. But I have attorneys who they're like, I can't find nobody, can you do it if, they can't find a notary that speaks the language. They want me to do it. And it's like, I don't feel comfortable doing it because I'm like, I don't know if they understand what I'm saying. And so I feel like to cover myself, I put them under oath, just like Michael said. Put them under oath. It's recorded, and I'm retaining the recording. I'm sorry, for 10 years. So if they ever need to, I feel like this is me doing my due diligence. You know what I mean? So they can't say that I just did it. Like, no, she took proper precautions. So this person was put under oath, saying that they would translate the information the way that it's written and spoken. And so if they told them something different than what I said, I don't know. You know what I mean? So yeah, as a notary, we need to make sure that we are unbiased, unbiased witnesses to the transaction, period. We are making sure that this person is willing and aware of what's going on, make sure they understand the document, okay? And then we are watching them sign the document. We need to make sure that they are in our presence when they sign the document. We're making sure that we are verifying their identity, okay? And this is a real big one. I will share with you guys that, yeah, Michael said correct. Enjoy. Would you charge for having to put the translator under oath? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't charge for it. Um, if the company, let's just say they didn't have a person who can translate and they wanted me to provide a translator, I have a company that I can go through. And so I would charge an additional fee for that. So I don't have to pay them. The customer would pay them. So yeah, Joyce, I would, but perhaps at just the $10 notarization fee is our requirement. That's totally up to you. But I absolutely, if I have to hire, if they want me to hire an outside person because they don't have anyone, I absolutely would charge a fee for that because I'm not going to pay for that. And they could pay me, and then I would pay the company that I go through. Damn it, hold on, guys. My eyelashes have been giving me the flux. I wore makeup yesterday on my eyes, and whenever I wear makeup on my eyes, I'm supposed to use the allergy eye drops, and I ran out of them. I don't know where they are, so my eyes have been bothering me. But yeah, Joy, I wouldn't charge a fee if they already provide. It's kind of like with witnesses. I charge if I have to provide witnesses. If they provide their own witnesses, I don't charge. So I would do the same thing with an interpreter or a translator. So I'm going to share with you guys on in Facebook, the Facebook group, a person of the general public had to file a complaint on a notary. The notary, the notary notarized a document and I guess the notary was a friend of a friend, notarized a document, and that person wasn't present, and that person filed a complaint on this notary. Now, I want to share the document with you guys and show you what this document looks like. And I did copy this directly from the Facebook group, so this is not something that I put together. This is actually a screenshot from that Facebook group. So let me find it, and then I'm going to share my screen. One and two. Oh, wait, I wonder if I could just press the arrow over. All right, there we go. All right, so let me share my screen to you guys. Share screen. Um, Here. Okay, so let me find it. Okay, let's make it a little bigger. Oh, not that big. All right. So here, this is the complaint that the person referenced above filed on the notary that is listed within the letter. Okay, so they filed the complaint. It was after investigating, the state did find that the notary did otherwise violate laws governing Florida notaries public, and that's defined in our chapter 117, section 4. All right, so as a result of these violations, the office has required the notary to perform remedial action to address the violation noted above. Okay. So what happened is, like I said, they were a friend to friend. Apparently, this person supposed to have signed this document, and the person said that there's no way that they could have signed this document because in 2016 they didn't have a driver's license. They didn't even have a driver's license. And so, in Florida, we do have the specific elements that need to be in every notarization that we complete in order for it to be valid, right? So we do have the venue, we have the type of notarization, we have the date, we have the person who is signing, we have how the person, oh, we don't have how the person appeared. That's missing. But they did have on here that the person produced, such and such ID, the site, I mean, the notary's signature, name, and stamp. Okay. So we're missing how the person appeared. How did the person appear? Right. And if the person appeared before you, why did you put driver's license when that person said they didn't have a driver's license in 2016? So this is what I mean about general notary. All right. Now this person, you don't see the document on the screen? Hmm. All right, hold on. Let me try this again. Share screen. Hmm. Maybe this one. All right, do you see the document now? Let me know if you can see the document, Joy. Okay, perfect. All right, let me go back to it. So then I gotta start from the first. Okay, so the first letter, guys, let me zoom in. This is the complaint that was filed. And this is the response that the state, oh, when I zoom in, can you see it now? Let me see. Okay, I just gotta zoom in on it. Sorry guys, I thought you could see it. Okay, Michael says better now. Okay. Oops, let me go back to it. This is the letter that the state gave the person above in response to the investigation on the notary. All right, this notary was found that they violated, and they have to perform remedial actions to address the violation noted above. Okay, and here, oh shoot, that's too big. Here's the document. It was a quitclaim deed. Okay, two witnesses signed this. The notary was one witness, and then another person was the other witness. All right, this is supposed to be the signer's signature, but the signer said, I didn't have a driver's license in the year 2016. So, how did I sign this document? You know what I mean? And this person was able to prove to the state that they did not possess a driver's license in 2016. But this notary put on there that that's how they identified them. So this is what I mean about general notary. Everybody wants to skip it. I don't want to do general notary. You don't have to do general notary work, which basically is you having the general public find you online, call you, and ask to sign a document or two, because people feel like there's no money in that, blah blah blah, which is an absolute lie. But because I make plenty of money doing general notary work. Like I said last year, I made almost as much. I was maybe like $2,000 short in between doing real estate closings and general notary. Okay. So yeah, I make money doing general notary. So I don't know what other people, are thinking, but yeah, this is why you need to pay attention to general notary practices. And exactly, Joy, this is why you keep a journal. And so I'm assuming, the state did their investigation. So I'm assuming there were so many red flags that they were like, yeah, this notary did not follow proper protocol. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing that. And we are going to get into, it is wild that journals are not required in Florida. Because like I always say, When you go to the statute, it says journals are not required, but in the statute, it says if you have a journal, this is what needs to be in it. So then we should be able to, you should make it required that we have them, point blank. If you're going to tell me what I have to keep in it, then it should be required, right? So yeah, it is wild. All right, so now that we have looked at a document that was notarized but invalid, obviously, the person didn't appear before the person didn't appear before the notary, and we don't know how they appeared before the notary because it wasn't even in the certificate verbiage, and they put that an ID was produced that was not produced. So, and this person is going through a divorce, and property was taken from them, and now they have to go to court to do all this. So they had to file a complaint with the notary. I mean, on the notary first, take that to court to show that this person did not sign over property. And oh, it's a big old mess. It really is. So I'm going to share with you guys some documents, and you are going to tell me, um, how what we're going to be doing with these documents. Okay. Oh, before we do that, what I wanted to know is um, part of general notary is knowing what you can and cannot do in your state. Okay, under where you're commissioned, right? Some of you are commissioned in border states, and so I'm not sure on what um, guidelines you have to follow. But when I speak to you guys about the different things that have to be done, I'm always going to be speaking from Florida because I am a Florida notary. Okay, so if you are in another state, you can follow along, but you always need to reference your statute when I'm talking about different things that are required to notarize. Does everybody understand that? I just want to make sure we're good. I have to make sure I get that disclaimer. So here in Florida, we can perform acknowledgments, we can perform jurats, we can um, solemnize marriage, which is a really exciting one, and we can do copy certifications, which every state cannot do. And then we can do VIN verifications as well, because we get a lot of those here in Florida. And that's basically when a person is um, purchasing a used vehicle, most likely from another state, and they are trying to change the plates and the title over to Florida, and they have to get a VIN verification notarized or signed by the people at the tag place. So it's one or the other. Okay. So Joy said, "Oh no, that's super duper fraud." Exactly. Yep, it is. All right. So now that I have spoke to you guys about that, being a Florida notary and what I can do, now I'm going to go ahead and share these documents. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And please let me know if you guys can see it. Can you see my screen? And then let me know if that document is big enough for you guys to see too, because I want you to see it. So these are, like I said, these are sample documents that I created. Okay. Why is there a second page? I wonder if all of them are like that. Okay. And these are just samples, okay? Just samples. And I had ChatGPT help me with that. Okay, so the certificate is not going to be the one that we see in our Florida statute because I didn't make it word for word. I just had ChatGPT give me some stuff, okay? So the first document on the screen is a permission slip for a minor to travel, okay? So you do need to make sure that you review the document. I hate when people say, you're not supposed to read the document. You don't have to read the document, but you want to make sure that if you see any blanks anywhere, that you address that. You want to make sure that you are reading to make sure that this is the person that's supposed to sign the document. Sometimes you'll get documents where the person's name may not be printed on there, but if there's a document and the name is printed on there, you need to be verifying that that's the name of the person in front of you saying they need to sign the document. So if you don't read the document or review it, you're not going to know that, right? So don't listen to people when they're telling you you're not supposed to be looking at the no, yes I do. I need to review all the pages of your document. I need all the pages of the document to be present because I need to go through them to make sure. I mean, I can't tell you how many times a person has brought a document to me and they only brought me the signature page and the notary page. Like, where's the rest of it? Oh, I'm gonna fill it out later because no, that's no. I can't notarize incomplete documents. And I can't notarize your signature on a document that you're not supposed to sign. And I'm not going to know that if I don't review the document. All right. So please always keep that in mind. You do need to read enough to know what you are signing and what they are signing. Okay. You don't need to read every detail and know why the document is what it is, but you do need to do your due diligence. Okay. Does that make sense to you guys? So here with the permission slip. Signer brings us to you, and they need to authorize their child to travel with ABC Youth Organization to New York City. Okay, so Susan Doe is the signer's name. Susan Doe is the one who brings who has the ID is sitting before you. You verify they're Susan Doe. You're going to complete your journal. Okay, do the journal first. Do not do the journal after you've notarized the document. The journal needs to be filled out first. Put all the information that is required to be in your journal about this document. Have the signer sign your journal before they sign the document. Okay? You're reviewing the document first to make sure that's something you can do, making sure that that's the person who's supposed to be signing before you. Then you're doing the ID and all that crap. Now we're just going to just fill out the journal. Okay? I've seen where people say, what do you do when a signer doesn't want to sign your journal? You don't notarize a document. What if I already notarized it? Why are you notarizing a document you haven't completed your journal entry? That's silly. Complete the journal first. Okay. Now that I have the journal completed and I have the signer sign my journal, now I'm gonna proceed to fill it out. Now, the document venue is already pre-printed. What are we doing with that? We've already had the signer sign their name. As a matter of fact, I'm just gonna just type their name on there. So you see this is their name. All right, they signed the name. There you go. Signer has signed the name. Now what are we doing? We have a pre-printed venue here. I am not in Miami-Dade County right now notarizing the document. And the signer came to me. So I am going to need to do what? I'm going to have to first correct this venue. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do. Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to use X's. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put where I'm currently located. And I have to put my initials. Why do I need to put my initials as being the one who made this correction? Anybody know why? Absolutely. But why? Why do I have to put my initials when I make this correction? My connection, yeah, I'm having an issue with my Wi-Fi. I wonder if it's because I closed my door. Could be it. Okay, I'm just waiting for you guys to let me know why did I have to initial my correction? Because you did it and the county has changed. The notarial block is our responsibility. Only the notary fills it out. Correct. So the reason why I need to put my initials is because you want to make sure that it is not under any assumption that somebody else made that correction. You are the notary. This is your area. Okay. All of this here is the notary block, all the way from state of Florida down to my commission expires. That is the notarial block. That is our responsibility, just like Joy said. So we should be making the necessary corrections and making sure we initial any corrections that are being made. Okay. Now here, I'm going to put the date of notarization, which is today. Okay, let's move it over. Okay, so March 2nd. Oh man, I forgot to leave room for me to put 25 here. It's supposed to be a line here for 2025, guys. But like I said, it's a sample document. I was rushing, so all right. And before me, what are we putting on this line? What am I putting before me, a notary public in and for say a county and state? Am I putting the signer's name or am I putting my name? Correct. Michael said I'm putting my name. And it's really easy to know that because it says after the comma, a notary public. Okay, the signer's not a notary, I am. So I'm going to put my name because I am the notary public. Okay, so on the second day of March 2025, before me were Joe Elise Fully Love, comma, a notary public in and for said county and state, personally appears Susan Doe. Yeah, Joy, you got to read it again. Your hint is that it has that comma, a notary public after it. All right, so personally appears Susan Doe, who is personally known to me or produced valid identification. So I don't know Susan. It's okay, Joy. It does happen. Sometimes I have to read the certificates twice myself to make sure, especially if it doesn't have that comma notary public. Sometimes that throws me off, but I read it again and I'm like, okay. So if it did not have a notary public there, but it was still asking for your name, you would have to write notary public after your name. So here, when it doesn't give me a checkbox or like a dash line to check off which one I did, I like to X this off, okay? The signer is not personally known to me. So I'm Xing that off. And again, I'm going to put my initials, okay? Oops, what happened? Oops, what happened here? Where'd my initials go? All right, let's do it again. My initials go there. All right. All right. So my initials go there because they produced an ID. And it doesn't have on there how they had produced it. So I'm going to have to add some stuff to this. All right. It says inside the foregoing document in my presence. Oh, actually, so I want to pause because I'm filling this out, but I'm realizing that this notary verbiage on here is not one that I can use in Florida. So right away, I'm not going to be able to notarize this document as is. All right. Does anybody know why? All right, hold on. Here we go. Joy says that was actually a great example. I'm used to see the signer in that space and the appear before me. Goes to show I must pay attention to the smallest details. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And see, a person who, like I said before, who feels like they don't want to do general notary, they just want to skip to doing loan signings. Sometimes you have certificates like this in loan signings. And so if they have no practice with doing general notary, then they're going to stumble on it and then they're going to mess it up. Okay. But in me continuing to read this, I can't complete this notarization as is. Okay. There is no keyword of acknowledge. There's no keyword of sworn to or affirmed to. This notary certificate here is actually a signature witnessing. All right. So, exactly. Absolutely, Joy. So I'm going to have to delete everything that I just did. Okay. Now let's just say this was in person and you attempted to start filling this out like I did. And after you read it a second time, because this happens, you realize, oh, I can't notarize this like this. And so now you have to take a pause and you have to tell the signer. So the certificate verbiage they have on here is not one that I can accept. Exactly, Joy. Signature witnessing is not one of the acts that we can perform in Florida as a notary. So you need to ask the notary what type of notarization would they prefer. And so you can explain to them the difference between an acknowledgement and a jurat, okay, and they're going to choose based off of what you explain to them. So my signer said that they would do a acknowledgement. So I'm going to go ahead and attach an acknowledgement. But before I do that, I need to do something with this certificate. What am I going to do with this? What am I going to do with the certificate verbiage that is already here? I have to do a couple of things. Sorry, I have to do a couple of things before I can go ahead with attaching a certificate. See if you guys can tell me what that will be. I forgot I threw this in here. So just like Joyce said, I'm a Florida notary, and in Florida, signature witnessing is not one of the acts that we can perform. So we have to have the signer choose. My signer chose an acknowledgement. So because my signer chose an acknowledgement, I need to do something with this here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and draw a line through it because I'm not going to use it. And I don't want it to be filled out after the fact either. All right. I didn't use it. I'm going to put my initials so that they know exactly. Joy said diagonal line through it. Initial as C, attach loose certificate, initial. Perfect. Absolutely, Joy. Let's see what Michael said. Make it known that there are part two or there are 2 pages. Yep, we're going to attach that certificate, but we got to line through this because we want to make sure that nobody is going to use this certificate, okay? And then I want to put here, see attached, notarial certificate. Okay. And now I'm going to attach the certificate. Now I can't attach it in Adobe, but I have stamps here that I created. And I created the stamps because sometimes signers will send me a document for online notary and it doesn't have the certificate verbiage. And I can ask them, I'll, explain to them the different ones and what I can attach, and they'll tell me, and I'll stamp it on here so that I can go ahead and use that. All right, hold on. This is kind of big. Let me make this a little smaller. What the heck? No, no, I want to. No, darn it. This one. I want to make this smaller. All right, there we go. All right. Delete that. Delete that. All right. Whew, it's so hard. All right. And the certificate that I have here, it doesn't have how many pages or anything like that. So I could just simply write on there. I could put page 1. Oops. I could put page 1 of 2. Let me take this caps off. And then I could do page 2 of 2 if I like here. Here we are. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill this out. So with what I was doing before, St. Lucie. Oh, it's not going to let me do it. It's not going to let me put words on top of this, which is dumb. So let me see. I hate Adobe for these examples. See, it's not going to let me do it. Okay, whatever. So you will fill this out, okay? county, check off physical presence, put the date, buy. The instrument was acknowledged before you buy the signer, just like Joyce said earlier. So I will put the signer's name. I would check off produced whatever is identification. I would sign it. I would print my name and I would apply my stamp. All right. And you always want to make sure that you are applying your notary stamp closest to your signature as possible. Okay. Stop. Okay. And there we are. So anybody have any questions about that notarization? If not, we're going to move on to the second one. So here we have the signature witnessing. Can't do that in Florida. Just like Joy mentioned, we're going to strike a line through it, put our initials, put on here, see attached notarial certificate. And how Michael said, we want to make sure that we indicate that this has another page to it. Okay, so it should be 2 pages. Okay, the second page is going to be the certificate that you attached. You filled it out, you put your stamp, and we're good to go. All right, notarization is done. Okay, always make sure that you double check your work. Okay, we're human. Okay, we can make mistakes. Double check your work. Check your journal again to make sure that you put everything in there that you're supposed to. If there was any additional things that happened that you need to put in the notes section of your journal, make sure you do that. Make sure that you got the signer's signature. We should have got it beforehand, but you know, if you're like me and you do a lot of talking, you can miss that. It's okay. Make sure you get that signature from the signer. Make sure that the document's filled out correctly. Make sure that you have your invoice ready, okay, so that the signer can pay. We should not only be accepting cash, we should also have the capability to accept payments by digital means. So credit card, Zelle, if your business bank account accepts it. Some business accounts don't. But if it does, Zelle is a great method of payment to do, especially because you can do the tap to pay on your phone. Don't forget that you guys can use PayPal. I have the PayPal Zettel. I also have Stripe. Both of them can do tap to pay. So if they want to pay with their Apple Card, they can just tap to pay on my phone and I get paid. All right. So make sure you got all of that, and then you are done. Now we're going to move on to our next notary document. Next here we have just a little generic grant deed. Okay. We are going to be making sure that the signers' names who are printed on here are the people who are appearing before us. All right. So we're checking that out. Need your ID. Looking at the IDs, and document checkout. Pull out that journal. Let's get started. Journal, journal, journal. Fill out everything that you see, everything that you can put in your journal. Have the signer sign the journal. Pass the documents to the signer. Have her sign. All right. So she's going to go ahead and sign. Um, Deeds in Florida have to have 2 witnesses. So you are going to, oh, I don't have this one being witnessed. I think I have the other one being witnessed. But deeds in Florida do have to be witnessed. All right. So this is an example. Okay. This is not what will be in the real world. Okay. We know that deeds in Florida have to have 2 witnesses in order to be filled out. But for the purposes of this workshop, we're going to move forward with this because what if the property is not in Florida? You know, who knows? Well, I put on there it's for Florida. You know what? I'm not even gonna notarize the document because now I'm mad. I'm mad that I went so fast. But as you can see though, with the certificate, so you have the signer sign with the certificate, it does have the keyword acknowledged. So we know that it is an acknowledgement. All right. So I'm gonna skip this document because now I'm mad. All right. Next we have the affidavit of occupant. I'm sorry, residency. All right. Again, what are we doing? First steps, reviewing the document. You want to make sure that the name that's printed on there for the person who is stated under the signature line is the person before you. So review the document, ID the person, pull out your journal. Journal this. Okay. Now that you've journaled it, let's go ahead and take a look at the certificate. Subscribed is sworn or affirmed before me, a notary public in and for said county and state on this blank day of blank by John Doe, who is personally known or produce valid identification. So we do have a couple of things missing here that we're going to have to add. Okay, you can either add a loose certificate if you like. I'm the type of person I actually like to use what they already have printed here. Okay, but a lot of people like to just go ahead and add a loose certificate and that be that. So if you're going to be like me and use the certificate that's already here, we can make the necessary corrections. Okay, so first I'm going to change the venue. Uh, the page just went out on me. Okay, let's open it again. That was bogus. All right. Let me see. It was 2, 3, 4, 5. Open. No. Okay. This is the one we skipped. And okay, this is the one we're working on. Okay. Filled out my journal. Had the signer sign the document. Now let's go ahead and make the necessary corrections and additions here. All right. So I'm not in Orange County. I'm going to make that correction. I'm going to put my initials. All right, let me see. Charlotte said, I'm a new notary. Would I need to ask signer if they swear or affirm before signing the document? Yes. Yes, you do. You need to place your signer under oath. That is a very good um, observation, Charlotte. You are going to put the signer under oath, okay? And that's in person and online, guys, okay? So I corrected my venue, placed the person under oath. Go ahead and fill this out. This is your name, the notary, not the signer. Okay, before me, comma, a notary public. Okay, put the date here, second day of March. I wonder how the heck did I forget to put a line for the year? You have to put the year here. I'm just going to put it under here because I didn't leave enough room. Um, yeah, you couldn't draw a line through it and fix it, but so whatever. All right, by the signer who is personally known to me. They're not personally known to me, so I'm just going to X this out right there. They produced ID. I'm going to put my initials where I made the crossouts. All right, produce a valid identification. All right, so what you can do is here at the bottom, you could put ID produced colon driver license. Okay, and I like to put the state. I know some people just put driver's license or passport. I like to put the state. So I'll put a Florida driver's license. And then I'm also going to put on here appear via physical presence because um, appearing, what does it say? Oh, no, it doesn't say it on here at all, how they appeared. Because I think it says personally appear before. That doesn't do it for me. I wanted to say physical presence or online notarization. So I put those there because that needs to be there. Okay. Now I'm going to sign. Okay. And then I need to put my printed name. All right. My expiration. 2029, right? 4 years, 2029. All right. And then I'm going to put my stamp. Let's find it. Add a stamp. Oh, thank it. All right. All right, and there I go. So what I like to do, like I said, I want to review the document to make sure that I filled it out right. I mean, because sometimes you're just going through and you forget stuff, or maybe you didn't read it the way you were like the first one we did. I didn't read it completely, and I'm filling out a signature witnessing, which we cannot do in Florida. So good thing I reviewed it again. I like to do that. I like to review my documents as many times as I need to before I leave to make sure that I confidently signed and sealed this correctly. So I'm going to check the venue. Okay, I did correct the venue. Subscribe and sworn before me, placing the person under oath, just like Charlotte said, which good observation. You do want to make sure that you do that whenever you have a jurat, guys, in person or online. Before me, make sure you're not putting the signer's name because after the comma, it says a notary public. So you're going to put your name, okay? It's asking for the date, has the signer's name, who produced valid identification. What's the valid identification though? So I added down here that they produced Florida driver's license and that they appeared physically before me. Okay, physical presence. I signed, printed my name, put my seal. So we do have to make sure that there are 9 elements. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have all 9 elements and the notarization is complete. Anybody have any questions about this document here? All right, no questions. I'm going to move on to the next document. And this is the way the quitclaim deed is supposed to look. It's supposed to have the witnesses here. All right, perfect, guys. Hold on. Where's my cursor? Am I in the right spot? Okay. All right, no questions. Good. All right. So here's our quitclaim deed. Okay. Again, with the making sure that whoever's supposed to sign is the person before you. I didn't put names here, so it could be anybody you could think of. All right, but you want to make sure that whoever has to sign is the people that's before you. So we have 2 people who are going to be signing here. All right, so make sure they're the people who's supposed to be signing. And then we need 2 witnesses who are disinterested. So in Florida, the witnesses cannot be a parent, spouse, or child to the signer. All right, and that's to either signer. Okay, because I have people where they'll be like, well, can my son be a witness for her and then her son be a witness for me? And it's like, no, because they're still related to the signer. You both are signing. Your child cannot be a witness. Oh, well, how about her husband witness for mine and then my husband wouldn't? No, no, no. So either they can provide a disinterested party or you can provide for an additional fee, like me and Joy were talking about earlier. I provide witnesses all the time. I don't know if you guys saw my post, but last month I paid out $725 to witnesses. My witnesses are a big part of me being able to provide reliable and convenient services. And I pay my witnesses $25 per appointment. And sometimes I'll end up spending $250 in a day. It just depends on how many people can find a witness. Okay. So yeah, in Florida, we can be one of the witnesses. So you just have to find an additional person if you're in Florida. If you are in a state where a notary cannot be a witness to the document that they're notarizing, you're going to have to find 2 people. Luckily, I don't. So I only have to find 1 person. Okay. So I am IDing everybody. Anybody who is signing my document is signing my journal, and their information is going in my journal. Okay. I do ID witnesses. I don't care if I'm notarizing their name or not. If their name is going to be signed on a document where my name is going to be signed, they're getting ID'd and they're going in my journal. I've seen several notaries say, well, we're not required to ID the witnesses. Okay, whatever you say. I know that in Joy, you may be able to help me with this. It is a county here in Florida where they are requiring you to provide the copy of the ID of the witnesses when you go to take the deed to be recorded. And I always forget the name of the county, but they're going to probably start doing that across the board. So you are going to want to make sure, if you're in Florida, make sure that you ID your witnesses. Because if you have to get copies of ID for witnesses and you didn't ID them, and then after the fact they feel like they don't want to, cooperate, that's going to be on you. And so one thing I do have missing on this document, unfortunately, is the witness's address. Okay. So for deeds, the witness has to sign, print, and put their address. All right. So we are IDing everybody who is signing this document. So you're filling out your journal right now before you are completing this document. Everybody's ID and everybody's signature and name is going in your journal. All right. This is the best practice. Please make sure that you yeah, Joy. I cannot. You can Google it. I do not remember the the county, but it is a thing. It is a thing. One of my attorneys who records deeds or has the deeds recorded in one of the counties told me about this. And I had to ask my witnesses for a copy of their driver's license. They were fine with it, but I was just like, I've never had to do that before. So yeah, absolutely. Joy says, I always ID everyone that signs and require them all to sign my journal. And that's because you're a good notary. You should absolutely do that. So now that we have that journal filled out, everybody is going to sign. And like I said, for the witnesses, you're going to have them sign their name and put their address. So you can have them write their address right on the side here. Okay. So for the purposes of this training, I'll go ahead and fill this out. Oh, also, before I do that, did everybody check the certificate? Can we move forward with that certificate? I see acknowledged. So we have an acknowledgement. So we're going to move forward with it. All right, let's fill this not certificate, the document out. All right, so we got second day. Oops, I put 22nd. Second day of March 2025. And scroll down, we have the grantor's name. Let's put sample signer 1. And then the grantee, we put sample signer 2. All right. And then our witnesses, we could have sample wit 1. And then over here, we're going to put an address. So 1234 Ocean Drive, Vero Beach, Florida, 33333. Okay. And then we have another witness here, sample wit 2. We can have them put their address here. Or if you're the witness, I could put, notary, address, city, state, dang, state. No, Siri, cancel. All right, so there we go. So their name is here. Their printed name will probably appear here. Okay. I can put their name again. If you don't have it where they have another line for the witnesses to print their name, still have them print their name under that line. Sample with 2. Okay. Have them sign at the top, print and print below. Have them put their addresses. Okay. And we don't have to correct the venue on this one. All right. So I can go ahead and put my venue here. And fill out my date. I will need to still add some information to this because it's missing how they appear before me and the type of ID they produced. Okay. I guess ChatGPT just thought that this would be the ideal certificate, the one where you always have to add the notary's name. Okay, then you have the grantor's name there. It doesn't have the grantee's name in there. Okay, and then we are going to sign. Okay. And I'm going to print the name again. Oh, I guess I should be putting Notary Public because that's the name of the signature there. I'm going to put Notary Public. Notary Public in here too. Right? Expiration I put was 25/20/29, right? And then we're going to put our stamp and we're going to add our missing elements. I haven't forgot that. Oh crap. Here. All right. Got my sample stamp there. Okay. And I'm going to add here ID produced, or you can put presented, whichever one you feel comfortable with. Driver license, appear via physical, I can't spell, physical presence. No, license. All right, so we're going to count and make sure we have our 9 elements here. So we got 1, 2, 3. Oh, I forgot to correct this here. See what I mean? And it's okay. It's okay if you forget. As long as you don't forget too long and then they end up leaving and now you got to do this thing all over again because that's the worst. All right, so before I count it up, I need to make some corrections, right? So I'm going to put my initials there and my initial here, right? Okay, now I'm going to count it up again. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And actually, you can, well, you can leave that there. It's kind of like add an extra element, but as long as you put the type of ID that they presented, okay? And so this notarization is complete. Anybody have any questions about this notarization? All right, we're going to move on to the last document that I have here, which is the affidavit of vehicle ownership. So I can't tell you guys how many times I get these because people, when their cars get towed, the tow yard wants the person who owns the vehicle to get a document notarized saying that they're the owner and giving permission for the other person to retrieve the vehicle. Most times it's some teenage kid who got their parents' car towed and now the parent has to sign this document. I do a lot of these online because if the kids are traveling in the parent's car and it gets towed, how is the parent going to, be able to get this notarized document to them? So I always end up doing these online, and they end up sending it to the kid. The kid ends up being able to get the car out of the tow yard, right? But a lot of times, I get these documents and there's no notary verbiage. It just says here, notary signature, notary seal. Well, I want to let you know we cannot sign this document as is. All right. Every document that you put your seal and signature on does have to have some notary verbiage on it, unless you are doing I-9 verification or even a VINs verification. Sometimes will not have a certificate, but they do want the notary to verify the information, right? And they'll accept it whether you attach a certificate or not. And that's for VINs verification, okay? Anyway, so for this, you are going to have to ID the signer, of course. Make sure that's their name. Make sure they're this person. Okay, this is the person who's supposed to be signing the document. After you do that, excuse me, you're going to fill out your journal. All right. You already know there isn't any certificate verbiage on here, so you got to ask the signer which one do they want you to attach. All right. Explain the differences between the two, the acknowledgement and jurat, and then the signer is going to choose. My signer is choosing an acknowledgement, so I can attach an acknowledgement here. Let me find it. Let me find it. Remember, I have it as a stamp, and I have in person. I actually have certificate stamps because I don't, if there's enough room, I don't want to have to attach a loose certificate if I could just put the stamp right on there. Let me make this smaller so that I can make this smaller. See if I can get it to be small enough to fit. Sheesh. Stop doing that. All right. Can make this a little big. Just a little bit. Stop. Stop, stop, stop. Delete. All right. So anyway, it won't let me fill this out because I put it here as a stamp, but you get my drift. You will fill this out accordingly. Okay. And you're not going to do anything with this here. Okay. You're going to sign down here and, fill out the information and put your stamp. Okay. And that's all you're going to do with this one. Okay. It's pretty simple when you have to add a certificate. And that's why a lot of notaries like to add the certificate because you're not having to figure out how to make the one that's already on there compliant. You can just add the certificate. You already know how to fill it out. Bam, all done. Anybody have any questions about this document? Now, before, when I said I was going to do this, Joy did want me to explain and show you guys how to do difficult notarization. So let's just say, for example, your signer can't write. Maybe they had a stroke or they're handicapped, and their hand that they usually write with, they can't do it. Now, I will tell you, I had a signer who ended up getting surgery right before we did a signing on their right hand, which is the hand they write with. So they had to write with their left hand, and that was a lot of dang on documents. So they ended up being able to sign their name. They just had to write really slow. But what if they couldn't? They can sign by mark. Okay. So how that works is when a person signs by mark, you are going to need, in Florida, you have to have two witnesses, okay, that would attest to the signer signing by mark. All right. So, and the notary can't be one of the witnesses, so it has to be two different people. So you're going to get two witnesses who, the witnesses, they don't have to be a disinterested party. So like with the document signers, right? They need to be because they can't have any beneficial interest, but it can be a family member, anyone there should just say, yeah, we saw them, signed by mark. They did want to sign by mark or whatever. Get two people. You got to ID them. You got to put in the journal the special circumstances that you allow. It's a lot of notation, but it's important to put it in your journal. You're going to put that the person signed by mark and that, these were the witnesses for that. You also can sign for them as the notary, and this will be a signature by proxy, and you will still need the two witnesses. Okay. Now, the only time you could use the one witness is if you and the signer both know if you and the witness both know the signer. Okay. In most cases, that's not going to be the fact. So this is why you have to get two witnesses. Okay. And again, this is Florida standards. Okay. This is our rules. I don't know about any other state. So once the signer signs by mark, so let me sign by mark. Okay, there's an X there. Hold on, Joy says, what do you think of a person who needs both credible witnesses and signed by mark or proxy, which use the same set of witnesses? Who needs both? Yeah, I would. No point in you having four people there just to sign for a person. Yeah, I absolutely would use both. And it doesn't say in our statute that we can't. It doesn't say you have to use a different set of witnesses if the person is signing by mark than you would for ID purposes. Okay. So they sign by mark, and the witnesses need to sign, okay, by the mark. All right. So you are going to put Mark of John Doe. Oopsies. Okay. And the witnesses are going to sign. Okay. Um, witness one, witness two. Okay. They're going to sign by that. Okay. So you're going to have them sign by Mark, and the mark can be an X or a thumbprint, whichever one you want to do, whichever one the signer wants to do. Okay. They could do a thumbprint if it's easier, because what if they can't get their hands to do an X? They could do a thumbprint. Okay. And you need to put, who is this the mark of? Mark of John Doe. John Doe is the signer. And both witnesses are going to sign by the mark. Okay. And then you are going to proceed to do what you do. You will need a specific notary certificate. So I will have to attach I can't put this stamp here. I don't have a stamp for a signature by mark or signature by proxy. I do have a certificate though for signature by mark. So if you do your questions on the phone call, you will be prepared for this. Okay. I think that I do because I have serviced a lot of assisted living places. I automatically keep credible witness certificates in my bag, and I keep signature by mark and signature by proxy um, certificates in my bag, because you don't want to get there and the signer has to sign under this special, in this special way, and you don't have the proper certificates for it. You cannot use a regular acknowledgement or jurat for this purpose. You have to use a specific certificate that is for signature by mark or signature by proxy. It's just worded a little different, and you need to make sure you have that on hand. So if you are asking, if you're doing your pre-screen pre-screen questions, like the template that I gave you, you don't remember the signature by mark and signature by proxy in the primer? Let me get my primer. It's in the Florida statute too, but if I can't find it in the primer, I'll pull it out. But I really don't want to go for that that statute, because whenever I try to go in the statute to find something, I can't find it when I'm on with y'all. And then after I get off the line with y'all, then all of a sudden I find what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna pull my primer out. And again, I have an old primer. I still have the primer that I purchased when I became a notary. I need to get a new one. So it's this one here. Okay, I'm sure nobody else has this one, unless you became a notary in 2020 like I did. All right, so is it the certificate that you're talking about, or is it the signature by mark and proxy that you're talking about, Michael? Joy says, so there are essentially two notarization in one, the notarial block itself and the separate cert for the certificate, for the signature. No, you don't. No, it's not. So the signer is going to sign their document this way, and you're going to just attach a certificate. So you're just doing one notarization, Joy. All right. Michael said the by mark. He doesn't know anything about the by mark. So let me find it. Matter of fact, let me go on the table of contents and see if it. Let me see if it's in notary certificate and seal. Let's see if it's over there. I got so many pages folded. Let me see what this is folded for. Supervising the witness of electronic records. That's not going to be it. All right, guys, give me a second to find this for Michael. And I hate that you probably don't have the same primer I have, so I couldn't reference the page for you. But let's see. Oh, this is record keep. Oh, well, let's see. Notary certificate. Notary seal, certificate forms, false certificate. Nope, it's not there. Let's see. All right, Michael, good. You're looking too good. So let's see. I think it's going to be under like persons with disabilities. Let me see. That's what I think it will be under, persons with disabilities. But I'm not sure if that will be under the primer. I'm probably going to have to go to the statute. Oh, I don't want to go to that statute. Oh my goodness. But I will do that for you, Michael, because I want to make sure that you know it. Representative acknowledgement, certified copies, jurats. Response affidavits. Joy, do you have a newer primer? Are you able to locate it? Ah, all right. Welp. Oh, wait, let me see. Mentally incapable of understanding. Nope, that's not it. Notary's own signature. Okay, I'm going to have to go to the statute. So let me pull it up. Let me see. I'm going to pull it up and try to pull it over here so you guys can see it. Okay, you can see it. All right. So let me go here. All right, so here's chapter 17. This is the Notary Public's chapter here, or statute. Somebody told me if I do Control F, okay, disable. No, disability. Dang it. Oh, wait, here we go. Let me see. Nope. Oh, let me see. Disability. Okay, it's got 7. Let's see if this will help me find what I'm looking for. Please find it for me because this is too much to read. Let's see. Sworn written statement, credible witness. For purposes, satisfactory evidence. Okay, we already know that part. But I'm looking for the part where. All right, here we go. So here, subsection 14. Let me see if I can blow this up for you. Control plus. Okay, there we go. All right, Joy found it. 117.05 under 14. All right, so here it is, Michael. It says, a notary public must make reasonable accommodations to provide notarial services to persons with disabilities. A notary public may notarize the signature of a person who is blind after the notary public has read the entire instrument to that person. A notary public may notarize the signature of a person who signs with a mark if the document signing is witnessed by 2 disinterested persons. The notary public prints, okay, so yeah, it can't be a interested party. They do have to be disinterested. Yes, Joy, I found it. Thank goodness. The notary public prints the person's first name at the beginning of the designated signature line and the person's last name at the end of the designated signature line. So let's go back to my example. I haven't had to do this in a minute. So I put Mark of John Doe, but they said to put the first name in front of the mark and the last name behind the mark. So John Doe, like this. All right. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Where's my oh, here it is. Prints the person's first name at the beginning of the designated signature line and the person's last name at the end of the designated signature line. And the notary public prints the word his or her mark below the person's signature mark. So let's go back. Let's go. I don't know what document it was. Was it this one? Which one am I working on? This one. Okay. Under here, you can put his mark. Oops, I want to move it. His mark. You found it, Michael? Or are you reading my screen here? Below the person's signature mark. The following notarial certificate are sufficient for the purpose of notarizing for a person who signs with a mark. Right? So this certificate, these two certificates are what we want to use when people are signing by mark, guys. All right. Joyce said, okay, that clears up. I thought there was a separate cert, like when using credible witnesses, and this is the notarial block. Exactly. Yep, it's just the one. Okay, perfect. And Michael, I want you to at least notate the section that we looked at. You're welcome. All right, so here we have the jurat for signature by mark, and here we have the acknowledgement. Now we have signature by proxy too. So let's read this. A notary public may sign the name of a person whose signature is to be notarized when that person is physically unable to sign or make a signature mark on the document if the person with a disability directs the notary public to sign in his or her presence by verbal, written, or other means. The document signing is witnessed by two disinterested persons, and the notary public writes below the signature the following statement: signature affixed by notary. All right, so let's do that on this document here. Okay, you sign the person's name and you put here signature affixed, oops, by notary. Okay, and we do still have the witnesses here signing. Okay, so everybody's seeing how that looks. We did the first one where we had the mark in between the first and last name, and then we put his mark or her mark under the signature line. For this one, you are signing signing the signer's name, and at the bottom you're writing signature affixed by notary. All right. And then Joy says here you can get loose certificates from the NNA as well. Yes, you can. Okay. Let's go back to our statute. All right. And the notary public writes below the signature the following statement: signature affixed by notary, and states the circumstances and the means by which the notary public was directed to sign the notarial certificate. That is going to go in your journal, in your notes. Okay. Signer verbally requested that I sign their name on the document because the signer was unable to due to whatever the disability or ailment is. Okay. The notary public must maintain proof of direction and authorization to sign on behalf of the person with a disability for 10 years from the date of the Notary Act. The following notary certificate is sufficient for purposes of a person with disability who directs a notary public to sign his or her name. So these are the certificates for that, signature by proxy. Okay? So everybody understands how we're going to be handling signings for disabled individuals. If they're blind, you have to read the document aloud to them. And then they have to let you know that they understand the contents of the documents they're about to sign. And then they will sign. And in your notes in your journal, you would tell the signer is blind, notary read the complete documents to the signer, signer agreed to the contents of the documents they were signing, and so forth. So when it comes to you doing signings in special circumstances, the note section is going to be your best friend. You're going to write all of the important information in those notes because if you were asked sometime down the line, you're not going to remember. I mean, who will? I cannot tell you what happened last week with all the notary appointments I had. Okay, I don't even remember some of the people's names. Okay, so you must definitely keep a journal, even if it's not required. Okay. Anybody have any questions about notarizing documents for disabled individuals? We can't turn them away. Yes, it's going to take a little bit more time, but they are going to appreciate you for it. Trust me. And Michael, I'm happy that you said that you were not aware that we could do signature by mark and proxy. And I'm happy that we were able to share the statute with you. So now you know. And I'm surprised it's not in the primer. Really surprised by that. Hmm. Hmm. I don't even know. Oh, page 14 and 15. Oh, it is here. So page 14 and 15 in my primer, it says notarizing for one who directs the notary to sign. And then it says signature by mark, page 16 to 17. So I guess I should have looked in the back in the index as opposed to the table of contents. I gotta buy a new primer. That's just the end of that. I just need to buy a new one for sure. All right, perfect, Michael. All right, awesome. And you are welcome. All right, guys. Well, that was all I have for tonight. I would say that this little mini workshop was really good. We asked some questions, we found out some new stuff. Um, I corrected me doing the signature by Mark. Thank God that Michael wanted us to, well, he didn't want me to, but I'm happy that he stated he wasn't aware because it made me go to the statute. And so in me reading it, it corrected what I was showing you. So we are going to signature by Mark. First name in front of the mark, last name behind the mark, his mark up under the signature line. And actually, in my general notary course, I do have the correct way on there. But when you don't do stuff for how long, I mean, you forget. So this was a refresher, all right, for all of us. So, all right. Michael says his primer, pages 14 and 15. Okay. Was it 14 and 15 in mine too? Yeah, it's 14 and 15 in my primer too. And then signature by mark is 16 and 17. Good. Michael said he highlighted it. Great. Joy said this was great. Really enjoyed doing these deliberate practice sessions. You are welcome. I promised you guys I would do it. I think I was supposed to do it last week and I forgot, so I'm sorry about that. But I'm happy we got the opportunity to do it too because I got a little refresher out of it as well. All right, guys. Well, I am done for tonight. Did you guys have any questions? Was there anything that I didn't go over that you would like me to go over? This is your opportunity to tell me because I'm going to get ready to go to bed. I have appointments tomorrow. I had a super busy week last week. Oh my God. At the end of the week, I swear, I feel like they just hold everything that they want to do to the end of the week in the beginning, I mean, the end of the month and the beginning of the month, and then you just get slammed. And then the middle of the month is crickets. I swear. Michael, you said yes, you do have a question? You too, Joy. Have a great week. As always, guys, you know I will be. Oh, I like your emojis here. I will see you guys again on Sunday. Everybody have a wonderful week ahead. And if there is ever anything that you guys want me to talk about, because sometimes I get a brain fart and I can't think of anything to talk to you guys about, please let me know. Don't forget, we have the community here. Okay, Michael said no, he doesn't. We have the community where you guys can leave me chats and comments and make your own posts. Please do that because I will see it. And I would love for you guys to give me some topics that you want me to talk about because I will absolutely talk about it. All right. All right, guys. So have a good night. I'll see you guys again next Sunday. Bye.